Hey, how's it going, guys? And today we are going to be talking about website hosting. So what is website hosting? Basically, maybe you made a website, right? And you wrote that website in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Well, now that you have this website, you need a place for it to live. That place is going to be called the web server. Well, web servers are generally leased by different companies. So for a good example, Muffin Man Hosting. Now, when you put your website onto this web server, people are then able to get to it over the internet. So let's say here, this person is the client, and they want to access your new website that you put on the web server. Well, they will make a request for that domain name, like google.com, right? Is a good example. Right? And over the internet, it will route that request, and eventually it will make it to the web server. So then the web server will look, and it'll say, yes, I do have the contents for google.com, and it replies back with the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript back to the client, and now they can view their website in the web browser. And that's basically website hosting in a nutshell. But there are multiple types of website hosting. So the first type we're going to talk about is shared hosting. With shared hosting, when you put your website on a web server, that web server is actually going to be hosting multiple websites in its folder structure. So it'll sort of look like this logically. Each website is going to get a piece of the web server pie. So you'll get gigabytes of storage, whatever, it doesn't matter, and each website is going to get the same amount, or if you're paying a little bit more on a shared hosting site, then you can get more and other websites will get less. And basically, when a client makes a request over the internet for a specific website that's being hosted on this web server, it will send the request, it'll get routed through the internet, right? And it'll make it to the web server. The web server will then look and try to find the specific website that it's looking for. We'll say this is the website it was looking for, and it will return the contents of that website back to the client so that they can view the website. So the next type of hosting we're going to talk about is a virtual private server, or VPS. Virtual private server. So what is a VPS? With a VPS, you basically lease a web server from a company, and you get it all to yourself. The difference between this and the shared hosting is, instead of having to share all of the resources for the web server, right, for your website, you just get it all to yourself. And now, say if you have a big spike in load, or maybe the shared hosting doesn't allow you to purchase more space on their shared hosting server, then if your website is doing really, really well, it's not going to slow down. And that's really the reason that people go with a virtual private server. The next type of hosting is called a cloud hosting solution. So with cloud hosting, basically, Google Cloud Platform is a good example. You're just taking some section of their server space on the cloud. It's a lot like a virtual private server, but you get more freedom with the server. So say this is GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Your server, you're going to be able to SSH into it. You're going to be able to give it more resources on demand. You're going to be able to change the IP address. right? Like with cloud hosting, you just get a lot more features, but you also lose a lot of convenience. With the virtual private server or the shared hosting, a lot of the times those hosting companies will take over the security section for you, or they will take over the DNS or the internet routing, so you don't have to worry about all of those different things. So now that you're doing cloud hosting, you have to worry about everything. And so that's why people will choose shared hosting for cheapness, virtual private server for convenience, and cloud hosting if you just know what's going on. And so you need to find a way that you can control your website hosting. And that's where cPanel comes in. cPanel is a way for you to be an administrator over your website. It's also pretty much an industry standard nowadays for any website hosting company to give their clients. So with cPanel, you get tools to manage your email, you get tools to manage your file system, your databases, domains, metrics, your security, your software. You got advanced options and preferences. Like on here, you can have your WordPress toolkit, your SiteJet builder, and those are two tools where you can basically, quickly design a website with drag and drop features and also search engine optimization, etc. And all of these tools we're going to go over in this lecture. And so I hope you guys continue watching and really enjoy. Thanks. Bye. So in this lecture, I want to go over under files, the file manager. So this is in cPanel where all of your files are going to be held. It's important not to mess with these because that can cause a lot of issues and you'll probably have to restart from the beginning. The only folder that I recommend touching is the public HTML folder. And this is because the public HTML folder is what people will see when they go to your domain name. So this is where if you coded your own website, you would put your React build or your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then when people went to your website, those are the files that would get sent back to the client in order for them to view them on their web browser. Another important one is the public FTP folder. This folder basically has all of your files that you're okay with having on a file transfer protocol server. So if somebody were to log into this web server over FTP, this is what they would see, like the contents of this folder. The next one is the mail folder. This one is also important. This is where all of your emails are going to be stored. All of your emails that you've sent are going to be stored. So don't delete this one either. That's very important. You also have the logs folder. This is where just logs regarding your domain will be held, but you can view these in the other sections of the cPanel as well. So that's a super brief overview of what this folder structure is. Again, the only folder we're only going to be touching the public HTML folder in this class. So that's the only one I want you guys to mess with for now. Awesome. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can host your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website that you designed. The first thing you want to do in your file manager, or in your cPanel, sorry, is go to your file manager. And so again, like I talked about in the last lecture, we're only going to be touching this public HTML folder, and that's because this is where your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files are going to go so that they can be delivered to the client when they go to your domain. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second. So let's say we go to our web browser, right, and we go to where my domain is. And so you'll see this is actually the folder structure of my public HTML file. And that's because this is being returned because there's literally nothing in my public HTML folder in my cPanel. And so this is my domain. And now let's upload a website to it in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So the first thing you'll do is go ahead and navigate to where your website is being held. For me, I have it in this folder. So let me go ahead and I'll double click into it and you can see this is the folder structure for it. Now it's very important that you name your homepage index.html. So if you look at this, right, this is my index.html, and it's very important that this is your homepage is labeled index.html because that tells the web browser, that tells the web server what page to serve up when someone goes to your domain directly. So I'm going to go ahead and put this all into a zip file. and I'm going to go into my public HTML folder, and I'm going to click on the upload button. And now I'm going to go ahead and drag this zip folder into this section here. And now my entire website has been uploaded to the web server. We'll go back and you can see that the zip file is now here. And all you're going to do now is click on the extract button in the right-hand corner and then select extract files again. Click close, and let's double click into the folder and click on the select all button here. Next, we're just going to select the move button and delete spearing HTML and click on the move files. Now what this did is it put it in the home directory for my domain, and I'll explain a little more in 1 second. Next, you'll want to delete the zip folder so that it's not taking up space, and you can go ahead and skip the trash and permanently delete it. So now if we go back to React app, .domains.muffmanhosting.com, you can see that my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website is actually up and running. So I can go ahead and click on the different things. I can click on category, which will take me to here. I can go ahead and I can click on home, which will take me back to home. And yeah, it's really that easy to get started. So what would happen if I didn't delete all of these and I had them in the spearing folder? So let's actually just test that out really fast. So let's add a new folder and we'll call it the test folder. And let's create a new folder. So now here's test. And so what I'm going to do is click on the CSS, hit Control, Images, JavaScript, JS, click on the About, right? And I'm going to move all of these into /test and click move. So now you'll see that all of the folders went, or all the files went into this /test folder. And if I go back to my domain and I click on the refresh button, it's going to give me a 404 saying that nothing exists here. So let's actually go and edit this and say /test and check this out. Now it's going to give me the website again, right? And why is that? That's because we added another folder called test in the public HTML folder, and that's where we put all of our website items. So if you want to have multiple websites on here or different paths, you can just make a new folder, and then when you go to it over your domain, you'll add in that path, and then that's where the website will be. But it's really important that you have an index.html in your public HTML. Otherwise, when somebody goes to your domain name, it's not going to be found. And that's how you host a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website in cPanel. Hey, how's it going, guys? And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can host your React application. So I have a very, very basic React application, and we have the home page and then the React routers implemented so that you can route to a different page. And so if you click these two buttons, you go to the home page and you go to the different page. So let's go look at the code here, and this is pretty much it, right? You have your package.json, package.lock.json. And so now all we're going to do is in our terminal, we are going to run the npm run build command. And so what this does is it takes everything from your source, your public, and anything from your node modules, and it will combine it into this build folder, which is basically your production ready code deployment in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So now you can see we've put it all into static assets, and so like we have our index.html here, and that's going to be the home page that we see. And so now that we have our build folder, we're going to go ahead and find it in our folder structure and put it into a zip file. So I'll pull this over here, and we can go into our example React app. We can find our build folder and right click it and then compress to zip. The next thing we're going to do is go back to our cPanel. So here, close out of this. And now that we're in our cPanel, we want to navigate to our file manager. In here, again, like in previous lectures, we only want to touch the public HTML folder. And in here, we're going to upload our new build zip folder. So we'll take our build here and drag it and drop it. And we will click the go back to a username or go back button, and that's fine. And so now here's our build.zip located in our files, and we're going to click on the extract button, extract files, close, and then now we get our build and our build.zip. You can go ahead and delete the build.zip and skip the trash as to save space on your cPanel. And then we can double click into our build folder, and we are just going to simply select all. And we're going to click move, and we're going to put it in the public HTML and select move files. And again, like in a previous lecture, the reason that we need it in this directory, in the public HTML directory, rather than it was still in the build directory, is so that when we go to the URL, we don't have to put /build into it. It can just be our domain. So now all of our assets are here, and we can delete the build folder as well, because that is no longer needed. And if we go to our domain, right, we will get our page. Now, something interesting is going to happen, and I'll show you that in a second. So we're going to click on the to different, right, and it's going to say, you know, there's a 404, it can't be found. So why is that, right? So if you're using like the React router, basically, and I'm going to draw this out for you. So when you have your website that's written in React, right, here's your website, and it's on the web server now. Oops. Basically, React router does this thing where when the client requests your website, right, makes a request to your website for the website, it then returns all of the static files. And so now it can, on the client side, it will route all of the traffic on the client side as to avoid having to make multiple calls to the web server. So what happens if the client puts in a path directly? Well, for us, the path is /different. So then there's our domain right here, and then there's /different. So basically, the client is making a request for /different to the web server, and the web server doesn't understand that request because it doesn't understand the React router. So what's going to happen is the website is going to return a 404, meaning that it couldn't find the path that you were looking for. So how do we fix this? Well, basically, we need something called a .htaccess file, and this is very particular to Apache web servers, which is what cPanel is built on. So what the .htaccess file does is anytime there's a request made for any path, right, to the web server, it will then attempt to read the .htaccess file, and the .htaccess file tells the Apache web server how to route the traffic so that it will actually return the /different path instead of a 404. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our React app now, and let's head to our cPanel file manager. And so what you're going to want to do is click on the Add File button here, and you're going to name it .htaccess, and select the Create New File button. So you might not be able to see this, and if you don't, go ahead and click on the Settings button and select here the Show Hidden Files, .files, and then click Save. So now that I have this empty file here, I'm going to select the Edit button and select the Edit button again. And I'm going to paste in the contents that are needed for the .htaccess file. So this is all you need for a React app. You don't need to understand it fully. I know it looks like nonsense. So simply just write all of this into the file, right? And then select Save Changes. And then once those changes are saved, you can see success. Click on the Close button. And now you'll see that if we refresh the page, The .htaccess has bytes in it, and when we go back to our React app, if we select on the to different page, we'll actually get the different page now. And if we go back to home, we'll get the home page. And so this is extremely important for all of your React apps. So make sure you do this before you upload make sure you do this when you upload your website for it to be hosted on cPanel. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, and welcome back to the next lecture. So today we're going to be talking about images. So if you scroll down to Files and you find Images, you can go ahead and click on it. And so you'll be greeted by these three options, and very quickly I will go over them. So there's the thumbnailer. If you don't know what a thumbnail is, it's basically a small version of an image. So, you know, when maybe you're on Airbnb, right? And you are scrolling through all of the beautiful homes, and there's a small image of the home, and then there is, when you click on it, then you get the bigger image of that home. So the thumbnail is basically a condensed version of that big home picture. The same goes for YouTube. You create a YouTube thumbnail, which is what people see when they're about to click on your video. The reason for thumbnails is it actually saves storage space. So say you have a really large video, image, like 1 megabyte image, right? That takes up a lot of space on your server. So instead of duplicating that image and using it in multiple areas for load time when somebody is accessing your website, and say in CSS you want to resize your image, well, you don't necessarily have to do that anymore because you can create a thumbnail of it using cPanel. So let's go over that really quick. So we'll click on Thumbnailer, and I am using the website that I uploaded in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for this. So I'm going to click on public HTML, and here's the images. And so all I'm going to do, we can go inside them quickly, and you can see, you know, here they all are. I'm going to click on thumbnail, and what it's going to do is it's going to turn all of them into a 25% version of what they were, and it's going to keep the aspect ratio. So I'm going to click thumbnail images, and it will go through the entire directory and thumbnail all of the images. So now we can see an example of this if we go into our file manager. I'll refresh the page, and we'll go into our public HTML and into images. Into images. Now we see a thumbnails folder that was created, and it basically went through and ran a loop over all of these photos and put condensed versions of them into the thumbnail directory. So let's check this out. Let's go to about.image.jpg. So if we type in our domain, and then we go to the in the images directory and to the about-image.jpg, we will see this. And what happens if we go into thumbnails instead? So here we go, images/thumbnails/ and if we go into it, it would be this. So, oops, there we go. And we paste it in here and we press enter. Now we get a condensed version of it. And you can also see the size here. This is 14.25 kilobytes. And if we go back one directory, we can see that the about.image.jpg is 96.61 kilobytes. So it saved us some space. Next, we can talk about the scaler. So the scaler does the same thing, but on a per image basis. So if we click on scaler, we can scroll down and go back into our public HTML folder and click on images. And again, we'll use the about.image.jpg. And so we can click on scale. And so now you can see here will be the new dimensions for the file. So these are the dimensions currently, 972 by 648 pixels. So we're going to change this to, we'll say 500 by, okay, so it automatically did the percentages for you in order to keep the aspect ratio. So now we have 500 by 333.33 repeating. So again, let's go back, and here's the original photo. And so then if we click on images and we click scale image, it's going to retain a copy of it, just so you know. So if we go into our file manager, I'll refresh the page again, and I'll go into public HTML and images. It turned about-image.jpg into a smaller version of itself. You can see it changed to 41.63. But if we scroll down, we can find the old version. So here's old-about-image.jpg. So if you don't like this image, then you can just go back and change the name of this image so that it is now so it goes back. And so now let's go here and let's refresh the page. And we'll give it a second. And you can see now we have a smaller version of that image. So if we go back again, and now let's look at the converter. So this will change all of the file types for the images in the directory. So do be careful with this. So let's go to the converter and let's scroll down to public HTML, images, and oops, sorry, let's go back. Let's convert all of the images in here. So let's click convert and let's change them to a PNG. So all of these are JPEGs right now. So let's change them to PNGs and click on the convert button, and it will go through and it will change all of the images. There we go. So we'll go back, and you can see the ones that weren't PNGs before are now PNGs. So if we go to public HTML, images, oh, that's confusing. Oh, I apologize. So what it did is it kept the old image and then it made a new one that's .png. Sorry about that. So now if we go back to here, we can go to, instead of .jpg, png, and press enter. And now we have the exact same file, image, but it is in a different file format. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching this video on images, guys, and I hope that this saves you some space in your cPanel storage. Later, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to this lecture. Today we're going to be talking about directory privacy in cPanel. So I'll give you a scenario. Imagine that you're a company and you have specific files that you don't want anybody on the internet to be able to view, but you do want people with the correct credentials to view. Well, that's really easily done using cPanel. So let's go into our file manager and let's go up one level, and here we can create a new folder, and we're going to call it confidential. Okay, and we're going to create this new folder. With confidential, we're going to put a new file in it called mystuff.txt, right? And let's create this new file, and let's go ahead and edit it. Wherever that edit button went. There it is. And we'll click on edit again, and we're going to say this can't be public information, exclamation point. And let's click on save changes. So now we have this confidential folder in here that we don't want people to see. So if I were to come here and I went to /confidential, I would actually be able to see the mystuff.txt. And that's bad, because if I click on it, this can't be public information. So what do? We go back to our cPanel tools and we scroll down to the directory privacy function. We click on it and we go down to our public HTML, and we scroll down to the confidential directory itself. And we're going to click on the edit button here, and we are going to say password protect this directory, and I'm going to click on the save button. Now, check this out. When I'm here and I try to go back to the confidential, it's going to ask me to log in with a username and password. Now, I don't have a username or password, so I click on the cancel button. It gives you an unauthorized request saying that you can't access this without the correct credentials. So let's actually create a new user. So if we're here, we can create a user that can access this specific directory. So for the username, I'm going to say it's username, and I'm going to give it a super great password. And we're going to click save. And I'm going to say don't save it. Save. Oh, never mind. I can't do that because my password is so weak. Let's give it a better password. And let's click on save. And so now we have successfully created a user for this. So if we go back here and I'm going to click on the refresh button, I'm going to give it my new credentials. And I'm going to click sign in. and I'm going to say don't save. And now I can actually access all of the items that I need to by clicking on my stuff. And here is the public information that shouldn't be accessed. And that's how easy it is to create a private directory in cPanel and protect a lot of your confidential information that your business is running or you just don't want people to see, except for you, who's the administrator. All right. Thanks for watching this lecture, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to this lecture. Today we're going to be talking about the disk usage section under files in cPanel. So disk usage is actually very, very useful. It will let you know what is taking up a lot of space on your servers. So basically, say you have 10 gigabytes of storage working on your server. Well, that storage is going to run out eventually if you're not monitoring how many items you have for your website. This could be, large images, large videos, whatever it is. Uploading it to the server could cause it to run out of space, and for you to then get a notification that you can't upload anything or fix things that you've broken. So it's very important to monitor your disk usage. Also, it could potentially point out if you have been hacked and people are using your server for something. So if you're looking at this, you can see that my public HTML folder is taking up the most storage out of anything. And if you want to scroll down, you can actually go ahead and sort the directories by name or by disk usage. And so this is sorting everything from, if you go back to tools and you scroll down to the file manager, it's just sorting everything in here. And it's telling you, what directories are using a lot of your memory and storage. And so we can see that if I click on disk usage, my public HTML is at 1.94 megabytes. And also we can see that I have a 10,000 megabyte quota, and meaning I can't go over 10,000 megabytes on this server. And I've used 3.57 megabytes. So again, just look out for this, monitor it, and make sure that certain directories aren't doing weird things, like logs. If logs is for some reason getting really, really big, you might want to go into it and investigate. Same with your mail. Your mail can get really cluttered. So if you're checking your email often and deleting emails, then you should be fine. But say you just leave your mail alone, well, this can get to a serious amount, and then you won't be able to do anything for your website because your mail because you have so much mail. All right, well, thanks for watching this one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to another lecture. Today we're going to be talking about how to do a backup using the backup wizard in cPanel. So if you scroll down to files, you'll find the backup wizard located here, and you can just click on it. And so here in this wizard, you can do your backups, and you can also do the restores. So let's first just focus on the backups. So if you click on this backup button, it will take you to this screen. And here you can select either a full backup or you can do a partial backup. And these are clicking the right one is very important for your use case. A full backup is only if you are moving to a different server. And it does say here you can't restore from a full backup using the cPanel wizard. You have to use this if you're transferring all of your data from one server to another, or if you just want a copy of your account, but you cannot re-upload it through this backup wizard. You can only do the partial backups. So if you go over here, you can see you have a home directory backup, a MySQL Databases backup, and a email forwarders and filters backup. So what does each of these mean? So let's go to Tools and let's scroll down and click on our File Manager. And you can see home /username. This is what it means by all of these folders is what it means by if we click on it again and we go to the backup, this is the home directory. So this is everything that will be backed up with your home directory. The MySQL Databases, if you go to Tools and you scroll down and you click on the MySQL Databases and you give it a second, you can see that there are a few databases that we have running right now, just one. And so then this will back up these databases. So if we go back to Tools and we scroll down and we go to our backup wizard, let's click backup and let's do a backup of our home directory. So I'm going to select home directory and I am going to click on the download a home directory backup. right? And it's going to put it in my downloads folder. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my file manager, and I'm going to scroll down to my public HTML, and we can see that I have all my folders here. And let's go to my domain, and we can see here is my website. So let's create an emergency scenario. I'm going to click select all, and I'm going to click the delete button, and I'm going to skip the trash and just delete everything from my public HTML folder, which is where my website is hosted. Now this is a disaster scenario because we don't have our website. It's nowhere to be found. So what do? Now we can go ahead and restore from a backup. So all I'm gonna do is go back, and on the first page here, backup or restore, I'm gonna click on this restore button, and I'm gonna say the home directory, and I'm gonna click on the browse button, and I'm going to go to my downloads folder where the backup is stored, and I'm going to click on open. Now that it's uploaded, I'm going to click on the upload button. Now that it was selected, I'm going to click on the upload button, and we can see that there was a successful system restore for my backups. So I'm going to go back, and we can actually go to our file manager, refresh, and double click on the public HTML, and we can see that our website is back up and running as if nothing ever happened. And now we can continue on with life, knowing that if this ever happens again, we're going to be okay. Awesome. Thanks for watching this video, guys. And also, if you ever want to back up your MySQL databases, your email forwarders, or your email filters, you follow the exact same steps that I did for the home directory. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing Git Version Control in cPanel. So for those of you who don't know, Git is pretty much a cloud-based storage company, and you can collaborate with other software engineers or whatever you need to do. You can upload your documents to it, and it gives you a space to do different types of version control. You can do branches. It gives you a wide variety of ways to manage your code repositories, or just regular documents. I've seen a lot of repositories with just text in it with valuable information. So without further ado, let's get started. So in my file manager right now, in my public HTML folder, I have all of my website documents. So I got the index.html and whatnot, but I also have a Git repository. So right now, what I would have to do if I wanted to change the website is I would have to go into my code, edit the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then I'd have to select all of these like this, and then delete it, and then re-upload the zip file, unzip it, and that is just an unbelievable hassle. So instead, what I want to do is turn this into a Git repository. So I'm going to delete all of these folders, or all of this. Click OK, refresh the page, refresh this page, and now we can see that this is now empty. So here in my Git repository, I have the exact same thing. So if I let's look at my domain really quick. So if I go to my domain, you'll notice that there is literally nothing here. So now what I need to do is click on the Git Version Control, and I'm going to click on the create button. And so now what I want to do is clone the repository that I have down from GitHub so that it will show up in my public HTML folder. So the first thing we need to do is go to GitHub and go to your profile and select your settings. Make sure you don't go into the settings for your specific repository. This needs to be your entire account for this to work. And you're going to scroll all the way down to developer settings. And then here, you're going to click on the personal access tokens. So personal access tokens, if you don't know, is a way for you to, manage your GitHub account via an access token rather than having to sign in and do a bunch of other things, so that you can read and write to your repositories from different applications. So this only needs to be done if you have a private repository. If you have a public repository, then it doesn't matter. So if we look at our Git version control and we were to paste in the HTTPS like URL to clone this down, it would deny you access to it. So you need to have a personal access token in order to clone the repository for cPanel to give it access. So let's click on Tokens Classic, and let's click on Generate New Token and Generate New Token Classic. For this, we're going to give it a name, and so we'll click on this one is good for my cPanel website, and let's set the expiration to 7 days. So it's important to note that for the expiration, GitHub doesn't recommend that you set it to no expiration, because if somebody were to get their hands on this access token, they would be able to do whatever they wanted to your repositories. So I like to set mine to 90 days, and then every 90 days I will come in, make a new one, and then I will have to update that in my Git version control. Oh, sorry. So I'm just going to set it to 7 days for now, because it's just a video. And what you need to do is give it the scope of repo. So after you click repo, you can scroll down and click on Generate Token. Now that you've generated your token, you can copy that token, and I would blur this out, but I just don't care. I'm going to delete this the second the video is over, so if you try to use this, that's fine. It's not going to work. But anyway, so here's the token. You click on Copy Token, and you're going to go ahead, and I'm going to save mine in a notepad really quick, and then I'm going to go back to my Git version control. And so, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to stay in GitHub, and I'm going to go back to my profile, and I'm going to click on my repository. And so here's my repository, and we'll click on here, and we'll go to the code and select the HTTPS. And so once we're back in our Git version control, we'll paste this in. And so like I said before, if you were to just do this, then it would fail and you would get an error. So what you need to do is put an @ symbol right before wherever it is, there it is, right before GitHub, and then paste in your access token. So it'll go https:// and then your access token, and then @ and then your URL for GitHub. And then your repository path is actually going to be your public HTML, and that is equivalent to this right here. And it's also extremely important that this is empty, because it will not let you do this unless this folder is empty. So after you've done this, your repository name does not matter. You can go ahead and click on the Create button. And bam, now it is cloning your repository down. So we'll click on the X button, and you can see here that the clone has been complete. And now if we go to my domain and I click the refresh button, my website is back up and running as if nothing ever happened. So what happens when you when you push and make an update to your code repository? Well, you'll need to go and it doesn't automatically fetch it from your repository. You actually have to manually pull it down. So you'll click on this Manage button, and then you'll click on Pull or Deploy, and you'll scroll down and you'll click Update from Remote. And what this will do is it will pull all new information from sorry about that. It'll pull all of the new updates from your repository. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you ever want to delete this, you simply just go back to your Git version control and you click on the remove button from here, and it will delete it for you. All right, cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over email, and more specifically, how to make email accounts and check your email. So in your cPanel, click on Email Accounts. And here you will see that you are given a default email with your username. So in my case, username is my username. So I'm going to create a new email by clicking this +create button. And here is the domain that it's given. If you have a subdomain, you can also click on that subdomain, but this is the main domain that I want it to have. So it'll be like your email at the subdomain. So I'm going to enter an email address of info, right? And then I'm going to create a password. I'll use a securely generated password, sure. And then I'm going to click on create after I copy this password. And there we go. So now I have my new email address for info@reactapp.muffmanhosting or .domains.muffmanhosting.com, and now I want to actually check my email. So so you're in here, you click on your email accounts, and you want to check your email. You just simply click this check email button, and it'll actually take you to something called WebMail. And so this confuses a few people when you first log in. All you need to do to actually check your email is click on this open button here. I personally like to have it open my inbox when I log in. When you click on this, it'll automatically take you to your email account rather than give you this webmail screen. So once you click open, it can take a second, and then bam, now you're in your email. And so now from here you can just basically like Outlook, where you just compose an email, right, and you can send it to people. You can check your mail, check your contacts, have your calendar, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's that easy. And then if you want to go back to your cPanel, you just click on Webmail Home, and then there is a drop down here and return to cPanel. Awesome, and that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to this next video. We're going to be talking about email autoresponders in cPanel. So if you navigate to your autoresponders page, or if you navigate to the email page and you click on autoresponders, you'll get this page. And so all you're going to do is click on the domain that you want, and then select add autoresponder. So now here you can say this is the interval, the number of hours to wait between responses to the same email address, or 0 to always respond. So I'll say 0. And then we're going to add in the email. So for this, we're going to say this is coming from info@reactapp.domains.muffmanhosting.com. And then the from is going to be React app. And the subject is going to be auto reply. And then in the body, we are going to say, thank you for reaching out. We've received your email and will reply quickly. Exclamation point. Oops. And so now what this does is when you click on create, it will create a autoresponder where anytime somebody emails info@reactapp.domains.muffmanhosting.com, this will automatically reply to them. So from React App, the subject is auto reply, and the body is thank you for reaching out. We've received your email and will reply quickly. And so this is really nice. People like to know that their email was received, and this is a great way to show them that it was received, especially if you're running a company. And then all you got to do is click on the create button here, and your autoresponder has now been created. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be answering what is a domain, right? So like, what does that mean? So imagine we have https://www.google.com. So like, a domain, in the normal sense of when you go and you register for a domain, is going to be this Google here, right? So this could be replaced by whatever your domain is, so it's like maybe it's Muffin Man Hosting, right? So this is referred to as your domain, right? So this com here, this is referred to as the top level domain. And this www dot is referred to as a subdomain. Google, so like anything in this position here can also be referred to as a second level domain. So if you hear anybody talk about domains and second level domains, know that they're talking about the exact same thing. So a subdomain can be anything really. This could be, apps.google.com. And this is still owned by Google, right? So say your application domain or your domain is, I don't know, muffins.com. If you, since you own muffins.com, you're allowed to have any subdomain that you like. And these can go for as long as you want. It simply just doesn't matter. There is a limit, but it takes a while to get there. So you can just create subdomain after subdomain after subdomain, and it would still be owned by whoever owns this domain. And yeah, that's pretty much the breakup of what a domain is. And if you were wondering, this entire section here is referred to as the fully qualified domain name, or FQDN. And so, also this HTTPS here, this is also called the protocol. And so I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what a domain is, what a fully qualified domain name is, and what a subdomain is, and how just the internet is structured in this way. So in computer terms, basically the fully qualified domain name is read from the right to the left. So the computer will see com, and then it will see Google, and then it will see the subdomain www. And then it reads the protocol HTTPS. And yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In this one, we're going to be talking about WordPress and what it is and how you can use it. So if you're in your cPanel, you can go ahead and click on this WordPress Toolkit button, or if you scroll down to Domains, you can press on WordPress Toolkit here. So I'll press it. And now basically what WordPress is going to do is it's going to be a website editor that's a little bit more user friendly. So you can go ahead and drag and drop some items. You can use something called Elementor. It gives you access to search engine optimization. This is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. Okay, here it is. And it's really easy to get started, and it has a lot of different plugins. So like you can install something called WooCommerce, which can give you get you almost immediately started doing e-commerce, which is really useful. And so here we can just click on the install button, and then it will give you this installer whenever it happens to load. And so here you go. And so we're going to give it an installation directory of something else. But if you want your WordPress site to be, your WordPress site for your domain, then you leave the installation directory alone and don't type anything in. I'm doing this because, and I can give you an example actually. So if I clicked X and I go back to Tools, and I went down to File Manager, and like in past lectures, we've talked about this public HTML folder. So if you left the directory just the slash, it would put it in here, and since I have files in here already, it would yell at me, and it wouldn't like it. So also those files would then contradict each other, and so the website would get confused and wouldn't be able to load. So if you have files in here, but you decide you want to switch to a WordPress site, delete everything in this public HTML folder, and then go ahead and reinstall WordPress. But for me, I am going to install it in a different area. So let's click install. And so if we look at our file manager, I'm going to make a, if I change the installation directory to /WordPress, then basically what's going to happen is it's going to make a WordPress folder in this public HTML folder, and it will put all of the WordPress items in there. So I'll go here, and I'm going to leave everything as is, but you can update your website title. So say you have a website title that you want, and you have a pizzeria shop, you can just change this to like so-and-so's pizza, and that'll show up right here. If you don't know what the website title is, it'll be this here, which shows up in your web browser for the page. And so I'm going to leave the website language as English. The version is fine. This gives your WordPress administrator username and password. You don't really need to worry about this because you'll always log in through cPanel. And then you have database and automatic update settings. So I'm going to leave everything as is and click on the install button. Now this can take a while, so I'm going to pause the video and I will come back when this is done installing. Awesome. So now my WordPress has been installed. I am going to say no thanks to any plugins and click on the minimize button. And we'll go down. And so you might get this item where it says fix vulnerabilities. I recommend doing that immediately, looking at whatever the vulnerabilities are. So we can see here, security update for this WordPress version is not available yet. Please check back later. But there might be a security measure you can do. And so here we go. Here's a bunch of security measures. And so if we just go ahead and click them, right, we can say secure, and what WordPress will do is it will go and find all of the potential vulnerabilities and secure them for you, so that you're not being so you're not vulnerable to attacks. And so while this goes through that, I will just go ahead and show you, what WordPress has to offer. So I'm going to click on this login button here, and it's going to take me to my WordPress admin panel. So here is where you can, control your WordPress website. So I'm not going to go too in depth with this, because going through WordPress would be an entire lecture, like an entire series in itself. But I will just go over the basics. So pages is where you make website pages. So this is a website page, and so this is where you can make a website page. So if you wanted to add a new page, you just simply add a new page for your website, and you get this cool pop-up, and it will have you choose a pattern that you like. And I'm going to say no pattern for now, and we'll just click add. And so you can add a paragraph, a heading, a list, details. You can add your own code, quotes, media, images, audio, all this fun stuff. And so you guys feel free to play around with this. So just to show you what happens is, let me go to my domain now. So React app, and then / WordPress, because I made that WordPress directory. And so here is my new WordPress website. It gives me this template page, and you can actually go ahead and change your templates by going to the themes button, and you can select different themes. You can also do this from your WordPress dashboard. So if you went to appearance and you click on themes, here you can add a new theme, and you can search from an unbelievable number of themes for your WordPress website. So like, say you wanted to change it to this one, you can. So the important thing to remember about themes, though, is that what they show you isn't what you get. It gives you a sort of block feature where you can add stuff to it, but you're not going to, if you install this theme, you're not necessarily going to get what this looks like for your website, and then you can go ahead and edit the features. That isn't what a theme does. It just gives you each page is going to have the same look and feel. So you'll have to design the website yourself, but it'll have a good look and feel to like these have. So the next thing we'll talk about quickly are plugins. And plugins are basically add-ons to your website. So you can click add plugin, and you can go ahead and view a lot of them. So the one that I was talking about before is WooCommerce. So if I press enter, we can see here's WooCommerce, and this is everything you need to launch an online store in days and keep it growing for years. So it's really great. It allows you to create your e-commerce store in a matter of minutes. I recommend looking into this, and we will have a guide on how to make WooCommerce stores as well. So if we now go back to the themes, we can see we can change our themes, etc. We have users, there's tools, there's different settings you can do. Here's your media, where you can upload your media. I don't have any, obviously, posts, and back to your dashboard. And so that's pretty much all I'm going to cover for now using WordPress. Thanks for watching this, and I hope you realize how easy it is to get started using WordPress from your cPanel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to another video. So in this one, we're going to be talking about the SiteJet builder. So you can access the SiteJet builder by clicking it here, or you can scroll down to domains and select the SiteJet builder here. So I'll click it, and it will take you to a new page where you can create your website with the SiteJet builder. So in order to create a website with your SiteJet builder, you first need to create a domain name. So you can have so I have api.reactapp.domains. So that's my other domain that I made. So I have a subdomain of API. And so basically with the SiteJet builder, it's the same as the WordPress toolkit. It might have a little less features, but it still gets the job done. So let's go ahead and click build with SiteJet on the domain. And so this is going to be for the API, and let's click on so like again, they have a billion templates to choose from. The difference between WordPress and this one is these templates you do just get to edit immediately. So let's go to IT and Media, and let's click on this one. This one looks nice, so I'll choose this. And once it loads, there we go. Now it's loading, and just like that, we now have the SiteJet editor. So again, in here, I'm not going to go over every feature of the SiteJet editor. It is a pretty new feature to cPanel. I think it's like at the recording of this video, it's like 10 days old maybe. But I will just give a brief overview of it. So here you can click on your elements page, and you can drag and edit all of the elements that you could potentially need. So like here's your iframe, you could put YouTube videos, Vimeo, you know, your photo gallery, your logos, HTML, you can do a separator, text, all of these awesome things. Same with content. So you can just do like specific kinds of content so that things are overlapping. Your image is in line with your text. There's like accordions, tables, there's different features you can add, and images, sliders, you know, whatever you need, it has it. Another important thing to note with the SiteJet builder is you can also build e-commerce on here, and I will be doing a guide on how to do that as well. You can also click here for backups. So you can also edit, you know, what kind of, you know, device you're using. So that's a really unique feature for this. So you can click on like the iPhone 13 Pro. You can see what it's going to look like. You can click back to the desktop. You can change the desktop pixel amount, you know, all really useful tools for what you're looking for. And the second you're ready to publish your website, you can click on this publish button, and now it will publish it to the domain that you chose. And so it will go through all of these steps, and it can take a while. Don't be like, you don't have to pay attention to any of these things unless you see like an error or something, then I would pay attention to it. But it will just go through a bunch of steps to get your website published. And once that is done, then we can go ahead and go to api.reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com. And I'm going to copy that. And so the site was published successfully. So let's go ahead and go to it. Oops. Oh man. Here we go again. Oh, actually, we can just click on this View Site button. And so here is our brand new website that looks freaking awesome. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to cover for the SiteJet builder. You can also edit your site by clicking on this button here once you've published it, and then you can do all the things that you need to do to it. And yeah, so again, thanks for watching this video on SiteJet builder, and take it easy, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And today we are going to be discussing the domains section in the domains section. So if you scroll down to domains and you click on domains, it'll take you there and you'll get this page. So what is the purpose of domains? So I discussed, you know, in a previous video on the structure of a domain and what subdomains are, etc. So if you go out and you register for a domain name, right, like muffins.com, and then you also purchase another domain called muffins2.com, right? Those two domains could potentially be hosted on the same server, and you could just control them both with cPanel. Another reason that for this domain section is you want to create subdomains. So I told you what a subdomain was, right? Like you could have www dot is considered a subdomain, although you usually just redirect the www dot to the domain, the regular domain. But say you have a WordPress site, right, on or so you have a SiteJet builder site, like I showed you on SiteJet, for a subdomain, right? So you can do that here. So for me, I don't have a domain purchased. So what I'm going to do for the create new domain is I'm going to create a subdomain. So to do that, I'm simply going to type in a subdomain. So we're going to call this SiteJet, and we're going to say dot react app domains.muffinmanhosting.com. And so this is going to create a subdomain called SiteJet for my large domain of reactapp.domain.muffinmanhosting.com. And so now we can scroll down here and you'll see this error, you have reached the maximum number. If that is the case, so like on my plan that I have purchased right now, I'm only allowed to have one domain. And so that domain is this one here. Whoops, 1 second. This one, but if you look at it, you can create a subdomain of my existing domain. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. So if I type in the entire domain, I'm creating a subdomain of SiteJet for reactapp.domain.muffinmanhosting.com. And so I'll scroll on down and I will click on the submit button. And your add-on domain limit 0. Well, that's interesting. So let me just grab this. I might have spelled something wrong. And let's go here and paste it in. Go dot here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it appears I did spell something incorrectly the first time around. And so now I can go ahead, click the submit button, and it will take a moment, and then it will create my new domain. And so now if we go to tools, we can see if we go to file manager that we have under public HTML, we have a new folder here called sitejet.reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com. And so now if we go back to our tools and we go to a SiteJet builder, actually here we can get rid of www and we can go to SiteJet. Here you can see we have no website, it's just an empty folder, right, with the CGI bin. And so now we can go ahead and click on the build with SiteJet button as we did in the last video. And we'll just go ahead and choose any, template because it doesn't really matter. And so the same goes for your, say you made another website and you wanted it as the subdomain. You could go ahead, upload your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in the file manager to here, and it would act the exact same way. I just thought that was important to note. I'm just doing this for ease of access. So we'll publish the new site, and then once this is done, we can refresh the page on our domain here, and we can view the new website for our subdomain. And so this can take up to a couple seconds, and then once it's done, it will show me a cool like confetti. But anyway, so like actually we can see this in action. You can see it's creating all of these. Oh, sorry. Let me go to the public HTML. And let's go into the SiteJet. You can see it's creating all of these folders in here. And if we refresh it, we can see, bam, now our website is up and running. And it's really that easy. And so, you can make as many subdomains as you want, I believe. Well, I guess it depends on your subscription to what hosting service you use. But yeah, so now your website's up and running on our SiteJet subdomain. So yeah, all right, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to the next video. Today we're going to be talking about redirects. So if you scroll down to domains and you click on the redirects section, it will take you to this page. So what are redirects? Well, basically, let's say we have our website here, right? And we are going to go ahead and look in our file manager just to make this more clear. And let's go to our public HTML and let's go, and we can see here's about, category, index, and work, all .html files. So basically, let's say we deleted work and anytime, but we still had people going to, our domain / work.html, right? So say we deleted this page and we don't want it to show up, and instead, anytime somebody comes here, we want to redirect them back somewhere, safer, or maybe we changed the name of the path to something else. So for this example, I'm going to be redirecting people from work to category. So I just went to the work page, and so what that means is that it is now saved in my browser cache. So what I'm going to do is clear my data so that you can see this clearly. If you have users that haven't come to your site before, this will they won't have to do this because it won't the website page won't be in their browser cache. So let's go here and let's scroll down to our domains and click on redirects. Oh, all right, got to relog in because I had cleared all of my data. So let me log back in quickly. And here I am. So now we're going to make this a permanent redirect. And so we're going to say it's only for this domain. And anytime somebody goes to work.html, we want them to be redirected to http://react-app.domains.muffin-hosting.com/category.html. Awesome. So now that people, now they will be redirected like this, and you can also see www.redirection. So this allows you to say, if somebody goes to the domain without www. Say they just came like this. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let's go to our domain again, React app. There we go. And so say somebody came here without the www. In it before it, which is the subdomain, then this wouldn't apply to them. Or sorry, if you click this, then if somebody has the www. It wouldn't apply to them. If they came to it with the www. Then it would only apply to them if you clicked on this one, and this one says it doesn't matter. So basically, you should always click on this one, otherwise, if you had some weird reason not to. So I'm going to say redirect with or without www. And I'm going to click on the add button. And so now what's going to happen is when I try to click on the work page now, it's going to take me to the category page. So if I click on work, you'll see it actually took me to category.html. Another thing to mention is that I had to specify .html at the end of it because this website was made in HTML. If you have like a React app or a WordPress app, you're not going to have this .html at the end of your files, so you don't have to add the .html to your file path. And so then if you decided that you wanted to bring back the work.html path, you could simply click on this delete button and remove redirect. And so if we went back here and we clicked on work, oops, sorry. Let's refresh the page. Okay, and if we click on work again, oh man, this cache is killing me. So work.html, if we just go there directly, you'll see that we're able to get here now. Your browser cache doesn't last forever, so say you made that change. Eventually the cache would end, and then people would be able to get back to your website just like this immediately. If one of your customers or somebody did say, hey, I'm not able to get to this specific site clicking this link because you still have because a redirect was cached, just tell them to go to their settings and clear their data for your website. And awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the zone editor under the domains section. So if you scroll down to domains and you click on the zone editor, it will take you to this page. Here you will see the specific domains that you have available for your DNS. And so if you don't know much about DNS, how it works, I wouldn't mess around with the zone editor, as you might accidentally make something break and your website will then no longer be routable on the internet. So, just keep that in mind. Be careful when you're messing around with this, especially if you don't know what you're doing or you don't know what DNS is. I will be putting out a whole series on DNS, and we're going to do a deep dive into it. So if you are curious about that and you don't know what I'm talking about in this section, go ahead and watch that series. But again, DNS is a big area, so I can't cover it in just this one video. So anyway, back to this, if you do know what's going on, you can go ahead and click this Manage button here, and it will then show you all of your DNS records for your cPanel, or for your domain on the cPanel. So you can see there's all sorts of different subdomains. Here is the SiteJet from one of our last ones. It created a sender policy framework TXT record, and basically your DNS is how everything gets routed on the internet. So it translates domain names to IP addresses. You can have TXT records that do things, different CNAME records, and this is just the area where you will manage all of those records. So if you wanted to add a record, you could simply click this plus button here, and you would change the type. So you have A for IPv4, quadruple A for IPv6. You have your CNAME records for redirecting, or so like if you have your subdomain of www dot, you could create a CNAME for www dot, which points to the A record of your domain. You can make your mail exchange records. You could have your server records, and you can have your TXT records for like DKIM or sender policy framework. Then you just enter in the value, and then you enter in you enter in like for if this is an A record, you enter in like the zone. So this would be reactapp.domains.muffmanhosting.com is a good example. And then you could enter in the IPv4 address, which in this scenario we're being hosted at 34.23.61.184. And that's pretty much it for this. So like we can just make like a example TXT record, right? So for this zone, and we could say that the TXT record is some string. It really doesn't matter. And then we can click save. Right, and now if we scroll down, we'll find that TXT record somewhere. Probably towards the end. Here we go. And so for this domain, we added a TXT record, and the value is just string. And then to delete it, you just simply click on this delete button and click continue. Awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also filter by the type of records that you have in order to just so it's not so overwhelming at first. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the zone editor. Again, do be careful, And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks guys for watching. Bye. Hey, how's it going guys? And welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about HTTP versus HTTPS. So what is HTTP? HTTP stands for Hyper Text Markup Language. And it's basically the way that the internet communicates. So here you are with a client, as a client, and you make a request over the internet to the server. Well, that request is using a protocol called HTTP. And the server is going to reply back to you, the client, also using HTTP. So, say any information that the client is sending to the server is going to be using HTTP. So let's say you sent your username and your password. So if you sent your username and your password for, say, your bank, then if it was using HTTP, if some hacker decided to listen in on your like communications between the client and the server, everything would be unencrypted. So that means like they could literally view your username and your password in plain text if they wanted to. And so that's obviously bad. So what the world decided to come up with, sorry, one second, is HTTPS. And that S at the end stands for secure. So what happens basically with this is you'll go out and say you own a domain of muffins.com. Well, you'll ask something called a certificate authority
and they will grant your domain something called a certificate. Okay, and so what that certificate is it's a digital document that will live on your web server, and it will have a public key on it. And so now you'll go back to your web server for your website, and you'll place that certificate on it. Okay, and so now let's say you're a client. Well, so you decide, okay, I want to go visit, muffins.com. So you ask the web server for muffins.com, and the web server will actually reply with the certificate. Okay, and then your browser will create a public key for itself, and then it will give that public key, the client public key, it will give its public key back to the web server, and the web server and the client will then initiate something in where they use each other's public keys to encrypt data that they send to each other. So the web server is using the client's public key to encrypt data, and the client is using the public key that was sent over in the certificate to encrypt data. And so the client sends the encrypted data using the web server's public key, and the web server encrypts data using the client's public key. And that's how they communicate back and forth. So the web server is going to have a private key, and the client is also going to have a private key. And so the web server's private key will be able to decrypt anything that was encrypted using the web server's public key. And the client's private key will be able to decrypt anything that was signed or secured with the client's public key, right? So since the client sends data to the web server that's digitally encrypted using the web server's public key, the web server is then able to decrypt it using its private key. And same goes for the web server. So say the web server, the web server sends data to the client using the client's public key. The client will then be able to decrypt all of that data using its private key. Okay, so that's pretty much how the rest of the session will work, is you're constantly sending data back and forth that's completely encrypted. And that's how HTTPS works. So after that certificate and the exchange of keys, all of the data between the client and the web server is then encrypted. And if a hacker decided that they wanted to listen in, then they wouldn't be able to get anything. And yeah, so that's pretty much HTTPS. So in the next lectures, I'm going to be going over how you can get your certificate to enable HTTPS on your cPanel. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over how to enable HTTPS on your cPanel website if it wasn't already enabled by default. So the first thing you're going to do is scroll down to the security section, and here you want to click on SSL TLS status. From here, if these aren't already green, you want to click on the Run Auto SSL button. So like in the last video when I was describing certificates, what this will do is it'll reach out to a certificate authority, and then it will get a certificate that is signed by them for your domain. And as long as your DNS is pointing to your to this server you're on, then everything should be fine. If it's not, it'll error out, and so then you'll have to go and edit your DNS. And again, I'm not going to talk about DNS in this lecture or in this series at all. I will be making a different series on DNS though, so you can go ahead and watch that when it comes out. So again, just click on this Run Auto SSL button, and the Auto SSL will say it's going in progress, and then it will encrypt all of these that it can. And then once it's done, your website will have HTTPS, and you should be good to go. So after you do that, though, you want to go to Tools, and you want to go to, let's see here, where's the domain? Here, you want to go to Domains, and you want to click on the Domain section. Here, you'll want to make sure that this force HTTPS redirect is on for your domain in question. This is because you don't want people to even access your website over HTTP, because a lot of the times people's web browsers will automatically go to HTTP over HTTPS, and that means they have an insecure connection. And also now, in browsers nowadays, it will show up as a weird error message almost, and the user will have to say ignore and continue, and that creates a certain level of distrust with your website. So if this is on, even if they try to go to your website over HTTP, it'll automatically redirect them to use HTTPS, so they can't even use the unencrypted version. And that's all I had for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to another video. In this video, we will be going over SSL TLS for your cPanel. So the first thing you want to do is scroll down to Security and click on SSL TLS. And so this will actually give you your key types. So if you remember from the video we watched, your certificate has a public key, and it also, your web server will have a private key. And so these key values determine the amount of encryption that is on your system. So if you use the system's default key type, it's RSA 2048, which is a 2048-bit string that encrypts, or that is the key. And so that's not that strong anymore. It used to be really strong. Nowadays it's not. So what I would recommend doing is going to the RSA 4096-bit, which doubles the amount of security, and it doubles the compute time that it would need to break the encryption. So if you select RSA 4096-bit and click Save, then this will change the key type, and it will automatically update your SSL TLS certificate. So another reason that you should do this is nowadays, a lot of big companies with secured networks will actually just say your website is insecure unless you increase your key security for your SSL TLS. And so if you leave it at 2048, a lot of companies, when people go to your website, it's going to say insecure, and that will drive away business, and it will just create a general distrust in your product. So change it to RSA 4096, which is the highest level of security that cPanel offers. You could do these two, the ECDSA and P384 and the ECDSA P256, but they're not as secure as the RSA 4096. So yeah. All right, well, thank you for watching this video, guys. I know it was very short, but just make sure you go ahead and you increase your security for your HTTPS. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to another video. In this video, we will be discussing Hotlink Protection. So if you scroll down to the Security tab and you click on Hotlink Protection, it will take you to this page. And so what is Hotlink Protection? Well, basically, you say you have an image or multiple images or videos or whatever that you're hosting on your website, and it's in your public HTML folder. Well, say somebody else really likes those images and your videos, and they want to display those on their website. So all they would have to do, as described in this description, is create an image tag or a video tag or an anchor tag or whatever, and they can create the source of this image tag as the URL for your content. So, we don't want that to happen. One, because anytime that new website that is, has the URL for your content gets accessed, then it makes a request to get that image from your website, and your website will then reply with that image. And that takes up bandwidth from your your website. So we don't want this to happen. So how can we stop this from happening? Well, we can enable Hotlink Protection. And so before we click the enable button, you want to make sure that all of the URLs that need to access your images are listed here. And cPanel does a really good job of just adding in the wwws and the fully qualified domain names and HTTPS versions or HTTP versions for all of your domains and like what could potentially need access to your images or content. So then you can scroll down here and you can say block direct access to the files that end in these specific extensions. So we have JPEG, JPEG as well, a GIF, a PNG, and a BMP. And so now you can just click on the enable button and it will enable Hotlink Protection. And if we go back, you can click on the disable button to stop it from happening if you made a mistake, and then you can correct it. And then you can also click here to allow direct requests. For example, when you enter the URL of an image in a browser. So if somebody decided that they want to go to this URL directly, it will work. But if it's requesting it for the tag of a different website, then it will deny it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I recommend enabling Hotlink Protection. It will save your website bandwidth if you get a website that has cool content and whatnot, and so then other people can't use it. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how you can use the API tokens in cPanel. So if you scroll down to the security section and you click on Manage API Tokens, it will take you to this page. So basically, API tokens, if you don't know, are a way to authenticate yourself to the cPanel, and many other applications use API tokens as well. And so it authenticates you as a user, and it will give you permissions to do certain things to your cPanel account. So this is something you need to keep extremely safe, and I generally don't recommend having it not expire. I usually, anytime I use an API token, will specify an expiration date. Also, this is a good way to automate backups of your cPanel, like databases or website, because what you can do with this is from a remote server, you can use your API token to request a backup. And I'll take you to the documentation, but I won't show you exactly how to set that up because I don't want to set up another server. So I'm going to enter an API token name. I'm going to call this a website token. Right, and I'm going to specify an expiration date, and I'll leave it at the default of January 21st, 2025. And I'm going to click on the create button. And so now my API token will be created, and this is it right here. Again, I'm going to delete it right after this video, so I don't mind if you people see it. And I am going to say, yes, I saved my token. And now you can see here it is. And basically, if you want to learn how you can use these API tokens with code or using the curl command, you can just click on this documentation page here. And I'm going to say allow all, and basically it will give you a brief overview of what the API tokens are and their functionality. So if you create an API token, it will give whoever has that token full access to your cPanel, so it is very important to keep it safe. Basically, actually, this is not the best documentation, so I'm going to click on the Manage button, and I'm going to click on the Using API Tokens. And here it will take you to another page, and it will show you basic examples of how to use these. So here's one with the curl command. So you would put the API token in the authorization header, HTTP header, and you would give it like this specific URL, so it would be your domain, and then over port 2083, and then it would be /execute, and then you would choose the model, you would choose the function, and you would give it the parameters that it needs. So you can see here, here's an example API token. Example.com is your cPanel server domain, etc. So now we can click on here, and I'll actually take you to the documentation where you can find out how to automate your backups. So it'll give you a quick introduction, and if you scroll down to basically all of these are ways where you can implement the API token using different forms of code to update what's happening. So let's click on cPanel features for a second, and right here you can run a API or you can run a function using the URL, whatever, to return your cPanel account's features. So that's pretty cool. That could be useful. But anyway, let's go to cPanel account backups and click on this backup section. And you can do it via file transfer protocol. You can save it directly to your home directory. You can back up your cPanel account via SCP with an SSH key if you're on Windows. And you can back it up with a password instead if you don't want to use an SSH key. And so, yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to know about, API tokens. It's just a way to do things remotely rather than having to log into your cPanel every time and edit things manually. And yeah, I'm going to revoke my token now. Yes, revoke the token. And now I no longer have an API token. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about SQL, or the structured query language, and databases. So let's start with databases first. So what is a database? Well, think of a database as a section of memory in your server. So we'll call this your database. And in it, it will have multiple tables, sort of like an Excel sheet. So this will be table 1, and this will be table 2. And in each table, it has different column names. So this could be like name, address. In table 1, those could be the 2 columns. And in table 2, maybe there's something like zip code, and we could also say there is initials. That's all right. It's a little over. And then in each of the columns in the table, there are going to be rows of data, just like in an Excel spreadsheet. So you can think of these as the headers. And so the headers are the, we call them the column names. Right? And then the rows, all of these, are also known as the data. Cool. So now that you sort of know what a database is, let's talk about SQL, or the structured query language. SQL is the way that you communicate with the database, right? So let's say, again, we have our database here, and there's one table, and in the table there's a first name, row or column, sorry. And in the column, there's like Frank, we have Hannah, and we have like, I don't know, Jess. So in SQL, there are different forms of queries you can do. We're gonna, like, there's a bunch of them, but we're gonna focus on these individuals. There's the select. There's the insert into. There's the update. Oops. And there's the delete. And so these are pretty much the methods you will use to communicate with the database tables. So if we were to make a select statement, you would basically be saying select something from the first name column, and you can give it like a variable of where first name equals Frank, and then it will return the Frank name back to you, or that row. And so there's more to this, and the same goes with the insert into. So say you wanted to insert something into the first name or into the table, and with only the first name column, you can do an insert into, and it would insert in a, we'll say we want to insert in a new name like Tom, and so we could insert in a new we could insert in the new name Tom. Same with update. Say we wanted to update Tom's name, and we wanted to change it to Alexis. So we could say update to Alexis. And then if we wanted to delete someone, we could do a delete statement and say we want to delete Alexis now from the table. We just delete Alexis in total. And so I'm actually going to give you examples of how we can use these different queries. But for now, I just wanted to get you thinking of like a database is a collection of tables, and tables are a collection of columns, and the columns have data, also called rows. And so, yeah, that's a very, very brief introduction into the structured query language and databases. I don't expect you to fully understand what's happening right now. I'm also not going to do a complete deep dive into everything SQL has to offer, because that's a lot. But I will get you started on creating a database in the following lectures, and inserting specific data. And then at the end of this section, you'll learn how you can actually remotely connect to the database. Maybe it's from an API to actually automatically add data as you get new customers or something. So follow along in this section, and you'll learn about databases, the structured query language, and how to connect to it remotely. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing how to make a MySQL database and create a database table in cPanel. So you'll go here into the databases section and click on the MySQL database wizard. Here, you'll be prompted to name your database. So for me, I'm just going to name it database and click on next step. Next, you're going to be prompted to create a user for your database. And so for me, I'm just going to call it database _ user, and I will create a password for it. There we go. And I will click on create user. And now you have to give privileges for your database to that user. So this will depend basically on what your use cases are. But for me, I'm just going to give this user all privileges and click on next step. And now your database is created, your user is created, and the user permissions are created. So next we'll click on return to home. From here, we'll want to scroll on down. Went too far. Back to the databases section. And to verify all of this was done, we'll click on MySQL Databases. And if we scroll down, we can see there is my database. And we also have a user for the database. Here's database user. So next we can go back to tools. We can scroll down, and let's click on the PHP My Admin button. So this will take us here, and basically what PHP My Admin is it's a software that will allow you to, manage your MySQL databases. So all of your databases will show up here under username, and so now this username will be replaced with your cPanel username, but my cPanel username is username, and so every database is going to have your cPanel username _ and then the name of your database. So we can see I have 3, but we're going to be editing this one today, the username _ database. And so it's an empty database, so you're going to be prompted to create a new table. So let's create a table. We're going to name this table users. And we're going to give it 4 columns, and we're going to click on the create button. Next, you'll be prompted to create names for your field columns and give it the type of field that it is. So the first one is going to be first name, and this will be of type varchar with the length of 50. So what this is saying is that the column first name is going to have the data type of variable characters, which means that it's basically a string. And so imagine your name of John Jones is, say that's your full name. So first name would be John, and it's going to have a type of varchar, and the length that it could potentially be is 50. So 50 is going to be the maximum length for someone's first name in our database. And if we do last name, Jones would be the last name, and the maximum length for a last name in our database would be 50 characters as well. The next one is going to be age, and we're going to keep this as integer, and that's because an age is a number value. Integer is a number without decimal points. And the next one is going to be occupation. And we'll make this a varchar as well with length of 50. So now we can actually preview our SQL database by clicking this preview SQL. And this is the actual command that will be run in order to create your table. So I'm going to click close, and I'm just going to click on the save button here, which will then create our database table. So now we can see we have the users table here. And if you ever want to create a new table, you can click on this new button, and you can actually, add the number of columns that you want, and you can click on this go button, and it will add more for you. But anyway, we now have our users table, and you will see that it has nothing in it. And so in the next videos, I will explain exactly how you can insert data, how you can update data, how you can select data, and how you can delete data from your database. Awesome. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Hey guys, and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about the insert into function to actually create rows in your database. So now that we have created this users table, if you go ahead and you click on users, you can go ahead and select this SQL statement or the SQL button here. And this will actually give you, basic examples of how these statements work. So what you'll want to do is click on this insert here, and you'll actually see that it will give you a basic overview of what you need to do to insert items into your table. So you'll see here is an insert into statement. And what that means is that we are inserting data into our MySQL database. And we'll see that the table name is users, which is here. And you'll see that the values for first name, last name, age, and occupation are all going to be added into this statement. So say you left out occupation, right? Say we deleted this. Well, then we would actually have to delete this value 4 here. And so that's because it wouldn't be inserting that into the database. So if we see this values section here, that means that value 1 is going to equate to the first name. Value 2 is going to equate to the last name. Value 3 will be age, and value 4 will be occupation. So let's go ahead and make up some people now to go into our database. And so I'll delete value 1, and we'll make up the first name Emily, and value 2 will be the person's last name. Green will be her last name. Value 3 is going to be the age, and we're actually going to delete the quotes around value 3, and we'll say that she is 19 years old because the quotes mean that it's not a string anymore and that it's an integer value. And value 4, we still need the quotes, and we'll say they are a therapist. There we go. And now all we do is we click on the go button here. And so now we can see that one row has been inserted into our database. So now if we go ahead and we click on our database again, or on our table, users, we will see here that Emily Green, who's age of 19 and is a therapist, is now in our database. So let's do this one more time. So let's go to the SQL button. Let's click the SQL button, and click on the insert function. And now let's enter someone who doesn't have an occupation. So we'll delete occupation, and we'll just have them as their age. And so let's delete value 4 as well, because that's what would have been occupation. And let's go ahead and delete value 1, and we'll say this person's name is Eric and their last name is Dunn, with a value for their age, which is an integer value, so no quotes, of 83. So Eric Dunn is just retired, and so that's why they don't have a occupation. So let's click this go button, and you'll actually see we get an error. And that's because occupation doesn't have a default value. And so this means that we need to have a value for occupation, even if
So it just can't be an empty value. And so if we go back up, well, that means, oh no, we need to add in occupation again. So we go occupation, right? Oops, sorry. Need this guy. There we go. And for the values, we need to add in, since he doesn't have an occupation, of unemployed. And we will click on the go button. And so now you'll see that we now have a new value for someone who's unemployed. So if we go to users, we'll see that we have Eric Dunn, Emily Green, 1983, unemployed. And so let's add one more person into our database. So let's go back to the SQL and let's click insert. And let's go ahead and insert Prince. And we will delete this one and we'll say Ali. Value 3 will be his age, which is 12, we'll say, and his occupation is royalty. There we go. And let's click go. And now we can see in our users table that we have Emily Green, Eric Dunn, Prince Ali, and their occupations and ages. And that's really it. That's how easy it is to insert data into your MySQL database in cPanel. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys, and bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the update function in SQL. So if you go back and remember what our database looks like now, we have Emily Green, age of 19 and is a therapist, Eric Dunn, age of 83 and is unemployed, Prince Ali, which is age 12, and his occupation is royalty. Right, maybe Eric Dunn got a job, and so he's no longer unemployed. He works as a car wash individual. So, you know, because he's retired, he's bored, he needs something to do, so now he works at a car wash. So how do we update that data? So what you want to do is click on the SQL button again, and you want to click on this update button, which will give you an overview of what the SQL statement needs to look like. So we can see here, update users, which is the user table, set, which is setting the data, first name equal to this value, last name equal to this value, age equal to this value, and occupation equal to this value, where 1. 1 means that this will have, this will be the first record in the first row in the table. So we're going to go ahead and actually delete first name, last name, and age, and just leave the occupation, because all we want to do is set the occupation. So now we're going to set this to car wash person, and we're going to say where first name equals Eric and oh no, I accidentally did a tab, and here last name equals done. Bam. And so let's read this over. So we're saying update the users table and set the occupation equal to the car wash person string, where the first name is equal to Eric and the last name is equal to done. And so now let's click on the go button, and you'll see that one row was affected and the query took this long. So what is this where statement? So where means it's describing the record or the rows in the table that you want to change. So if you say where, so let's go back to the users quickly, and you'll see that Eric Dunn, who is age 83, is now a car wash person. So if we did an update statement where we just said occupation equals car wash person, it would change the occupation for everybody. We needed to give descriptive values in the table of the person we wanted to change. So we said where the first name is equal to Eric and the last name is equal to Dunn. And then we changed his occupation to car wash person.
And so, yeah, because of that, we were able to only affect Eric Dunn. So now if we go back and let's actually make everybody's age 20, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's go to SQL. Let's click on the update, and let's go ahead and delete everything except for age. So we'll delete that, and we will delete that, and we'll say age is equal to 25, and we'll actually just delete this where clause. And let's click on the go button, and and so now we'll see that all 3 rows in the database were affected. So if we go back to users, everybody's age is now at 25 because we didn't give any descriptive values to what we wanted to change in the data, the specific rows. All right, cool. So that's actually how you update things. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on where I show you how to get data out of the database that you're looking for. Bye, guys. All right, cool. So welcome back to the next video. Today we're going to be talking about the select statement. So if we click on our SQL button here, we are actually taken to the select statement immediately. So the first thing I want to show you guys is how to select everything from your database, which means how to get all rows from a specific table. So let's just do select asterisk from users. Now this asterisk means everything. So it means all tables, or I'm sorry, all column names and all rows. So let's go ahead and click the go button, and you'll see that it grabbed Emily Green, age 25 therapist, Eric Dunn, age 25 car wash person, Prince Ali, age 25 royalty. So it grabbed everything from the users table, all columns and all rows. So maybe let's say we want to see specifics. So let's go to SQL, and let's delete the 1, and let's say we only want to, we'll say let's select just the first name and the last name from the users table where first name equals, I'm sorry. We need this. What the heck? Where first name, delete this, equals Eric. And we'll do an end quote and that. And so now what we're doing is we're selecting only the first name column, the last name column from the users table where someone's first name is equal to Eric. And so let's go ahead and click the go button. And now you'll see we get first name Eric, last name Dunn from our database. So let's go back to SQL again, and let's actually do an insert statement, and we'll say that somebody's first name is Eric, somebody's last name is Cheese. Their age will be, again, remember no quotes because this is an integer, 93 years old. Eric Cheese is an old person, and their occupation will be, let's do Burger King manager. Oops. Manager. And so let's click on this go button, and now we've inserted a new person named Eric Cheese, the age of 93, who is a Burger King manager. So now if we go back to our SQL, we can say select we'll leave this asterisk as everything, and we'll say where first name equals Eric. There we go. And so now what this is going to do is it's going to select all columns from the table of users, but it's going to limit the rows to people with the first name of Eric. So if we click on go, we will see that we have Eric and Eric as the first names, and Dunn is the last name, Cheese is the last name here. The age is 25, 93, and their occupations. All right, cool. So it's that easy to start selecting items from your database. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to delete items from your MySQL database in cPanel. So first thing you'll want to do is head over to the SQL button and click on the delete. So important thing to mention here is if you say delete from users, this will delete your entire table. So do not do this. What instead you need to do is add a where clause to be very specific on the rows you want to delete. So for example, if we go back to our users page, we can see that we have two Erics. We have Eric Dunn and we have Eric Cheese. So let's say we want to delete both of them from our database for some unknown reason. So let's go to SQL and we'll click on the delete, and we are going to say delete from users where the first name column is equal to Eric. There we go. And let's click on the go button. And yes, I do. And so now we can see two rows have been deleted from our database. So if we go back to our users table, we can see we only have Emily Green and Prince Ali left. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And so now let's say we have the age of 25 for both of them. Let's go ahead and go back to our SQL statement and let's delete somebody based on their age. So let's delete from users where age, is equal to 25. And now this will delete the last two people in our database. If we click go, click OK, and we can see two rows have been deleted. And if we click on users, we can see there is no longer any data in our table, which is the only table in our database. Awesome. So yeah, that was it. Thanks for watching, guys. And I know this is really quick. I tried to go over the general use cases for SQL and how to basically use general SQL statements. If I were to go over everything in SQL, there's too much. It would be its own course by itself. So yeah, I hope that you guys continue on learning SQL because it's super useful. And in the next lecture, I'm going to show you how you can connect your MySQL database to the internet in case you want to, make an API, application programming interface, that can connect to the SQL database and return specific items to your user. I'm not going to make an API in it. I'm just going to show you how you can connect it to the internet. And then from there, you can choose your API of choice and log into it and start doing SQL statements and such from your API. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about how you can actually connect to your MySQL database over the internet using an API or a different service. So if you'll scroll on down to the databases section, you want to click on this Remote MySQL. And once we're in here, this is where you can actually add an access host. So basically anything you add here, that IP address will be able to access all of your MySQL databases. So you can't do it at a granular level. So let's see here. If you add in a %, then you're saying basically that any IP address on the internet can attempt to access your MySQL database. They will need to know the username and password of your database user, but if they figure that out, then they'll have access to your database. So you should try your best to limit this to IP addresses on the internet that you want to be able to access your database. So I'm just going to add % in here for now, just for an example. But say you had a API, or there was a host that was trying to access your MySQL database on the internet that was located at 20.20.20.20, then you would just add them here and you would click on add host. So I'll add the %, which means that any IP address is able to access my database. So I'll click add host here. And now you can see that the % was added to the list. And now anybody, this allows any computer to try and log in to the databases. There we go. And we'll click on update, go back, and we'll see now our comment is here. The next thing you'll need to do is go to your tools and go down to MySQL Databases. And then you'll actually need to get the name of your database. So your database name will be username, your cPanel username, and then the database. And then also you will need to scroll down to your current users. So you'll see this is a user and it has access to do everything on the MySQL databases. So once you have the user and the database name, then you can be able to connect to the IP address hosting your MySQL database over the correct port, and then you can start executing your SQL queries. And it's easy. It's as easy as that, guys. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and take it easy. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the visitors section in the metrics. So if you click on visitors, and now you get to select a domain. So there's a difference between SSL, right? And this one, which is without SSL, is HTTP, and this one is HTTPS. So this visitors section will show you exactly who has tried to access what in your domain. So if you click on the SSL version, right, for me, I'm going to click on the SSL version, you can actually see a few things. So here is the user agent for the person or the computer that attempted to access a specific resource. Here's the IP address that tried to access that resource, and here is the URL they were trying to access. So somebody at 68.49.151.226 tried to access the /.git/config path in my actual folder structure. So if we go to Tools and we go to File Manager, and we scroll down to the public HTML, we can see here's Git, and what were they looking for? 1 second, sorry. Visitors, the SSL. They were attempting to access the config. And so actually there is no config here, so they were probably given a 404. Oh wait, actually here it is, right here, apologies. So what happens if somebody tried to access this? So if we go here, and we actually go to ReactJS.domains, here we go, and we paste this in. That user is given a 403 forbidden, and they can't access that document. And so if we go here, we can see that the size in bytes was 0 because the request was denied. And we can see here somebody else tried to access the environment variables. Other people were trying to access different things. So here, this IP address also tried to access the git config. Somebody here attempted to access something called an AWS credentials. And so you can actually see these might actually be attacks. So this person is trying to steal our credentials for some AWS service, Amazon Web Services service. And so, you know, maybe because I don't like this person, I can go to Tools, you know, go to, I don't like that IP, whoever's attacking me with that IP address, I can go to Tools, and I can go down to Security, and I can click on the IP blocker here, and I can add in that IP address, and then that IP address will no longer be able to access anything on my system. So if I go back, I can go back to Visitors, look at the SSL, and you know what, let's actually block that person. So whoever was trying to get our AWS credentials, I'm going to copy their IP address, and I'm going to go back to Tools, and I'm going to scroll down to the IP blocker. I'm going to add them in, and now they can no longer access my system. Awesome. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for visitors, guys. Thank you for watching, and have a great one. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about site quality monitoring. So you can get to it by clicking here, or if you scroll all the way down to metrics, you can click it by clicking on the site quality monitoring here. So what is site quality monitoring? Well, it's something that cPanel offers where you can check how fast your page loads, check if your images are the appropriate size, check if you have any broken links, check if you have well-configured cookies, continuous uptime monitoring, mobile optimization. You can do lighthouse scores, and if you don't know what a lighthouse score is, it's something that Google put out where it basically tells you how you're doing with search engine optimization, and that includes a lot of these items here, like mobile optimization, etc. So it just gives you a score of how your website is doing on the internet.
And then there's also up-to-date security certificates. So to get started, you have to scroll down and you choose the domain that you want. I want my main domain, and I am going to enter in an email address that has never been used before. So I have an email address at info@reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com, and I will agree to receive notification. So I will click Create Project. And then once this project is created, you will have to go to your email address and enter the copy the security code and paste it in here. So I'll go over to my email accounts, and you can see here's my info email, and I'm going to click on the check email. This will log me into WebMail, and we can see here is something. Oh, this is my email being created. And so now we just have to wait a couple minutes until the email from the site quality monitoring comes through, and then we can begin our monitoring. So I'm going to pause this and wait until the email comes in. Awesome. So we just got our email. Here's our last step for site quality monitoring. We're going to copy this, and we're going to go back to our page and activate our new site quality monitoring. So now that it's activated, it will set up the service. It's going to create a project. It's going to start monitoring, and then it'll let us know when we are ready to start. Awesome. So we are now ready, and it's going to redirect us automatically to our page. And once it loads, it will tell us how our app is doing. So you can go ahead, click on your app, and you can see all of your ratings here. So for uptime, we have 100%. For performance, we have 100%. For content, we have 100%. For security, we have 100%. And for technology, we have 100%. It's still doing our search engine optimization. So if we scroll up, we can see our monitoring, and we can see that our SEO is at 0 because it hasn't been calculated yet. Also, we can check our crawling, so we can see if we have any dead links. So we can click crawl 500 URLs. And so this will search to see if any of the links in our page don't function. And if they don't function, it will let us know. So we're going to let this search for a second. And we can see that we searched 4 pages. Oh, there we go. And they all seem to function correctly, which is great. We can also check out our settings. And so anyway, let's go back to our content summary, and we can see what's going on here. We found some faulty content, dead links, or missing elements in the project. This must be corrected, sorry. And so now we can go ahead and click on our items here, and it will tell you what is going on. So broken elements. Broken elements are elements that your URL is trying to render for a user but cannot. For example, attempting to display an image file that you deleted cause a broken element. And so we see 41 resources loaded and 1 resource is faulty. So we can check out our faulty resource, and here is what happened. So it appears that there is some sort of link in our page where it's attempting to reach out to leostop.com and it isn't working. So therefore we have a broken element. So all you'd have to do is go into your website, find this link and remove it. And then we would have our content would be 100 again. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching this episode on site quality monitoring. Do be sure to look at all of these every now and then. So like you can see here, it does it every 7 days. So go back and check this every 7 days to make sure that you are staying 100% with your site's quality. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the bandwidth section in your metrics. So if you go ahead and scroll down to metrics, and you can click on this bandwidth section here, and all this is just telling you how much resources you've used transporting data back and forth between the server. So we can see in the past 24 hours, HTTP, which is the protocol, has used most of my bandwidth, if not all of it. Over the past week, we can see how much was used for HTTP over the past year, and we can actually get a good graph showing what was happening. So the blue is our SiteJet app. and our red was the React app. And so this pie graph shows exactly how much resources was used for January of 2024. So we spent 105.45 megabytes of data transferring back and forth over HTTP for the React app, and we spent 48.61 megabytes transferring it for the SiteJet app. And that's it for this lecture, guys. It's a short one. All right, take it easy. Bye. Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about AWSTATS. So if you scroll down to the metrics section, you can find AWSTATS here. And so if you click on it, and then you want to find the domain that you're looking for. So for me, I'm going to choose my main domain, which is reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com over SSL, and I'm going to click on the view button, and you'll get this page. So basically, AWSTATS attempts to give you a very big overview of how your website is doing. So it shows you your unique visitors, the number of visits, the pages that were visited, the number of hits, and the bandwidth. So 563 pages were visited and 2,742 hits were used. So hits are the number of files requested from a server, including pages and images. And so like the hits is going to include images, whereas the pages is just going to be pages. So like our main page, our work page, etc. So we can go ahead and scroll down and we can see a monthly history. So this website's only been up for January of 2024. And so we've had 40 unique visitors. Again, number of visits in total was 62. 563 pages were visited. 2,742 hits, which is pages plus like accessing of images and other files. And we used 93.04 megabytes of bandwidth. So we can also scroll down to the days of the month. And so we can see everything broken down by the specific days. So we can see that we had a huge influx of pages that were visited on the 19th of January. We can also scroll down and we can see days of the week. So for some reason, Wednesdays are big days for us. Also, we can scroll down to see the hours or locals, or these are the specific hosts that were accessing our files. So 67.252.77.179 accesses a lot of pages and causes a lot of hits. We can also scroll down to authenticated users. So these are the people who were accessing or logging into our cPanel. We can also see robots/spiders, which is like the Google bot, etc., who's just trying to, find your website so that it can appear on a search engine. Here's visits duration. So we can see that 52% or 52 visitors had a number of visits below 30 seconds. 4 people had a visit of above 1 hour. We can also see the specific file types that are being accessed the most. So we see JavaScript files cause 893 hits, whereas an image file caused, for PNG specifically, caused 692 hits. And we can see downloads. So somebody attempted to download mystuff.txt. It got 2 hits. We can also see pages for the URL. So these are what people are attempting to access mostly. So the slash was viewed 130 times. Admin, Ajax, cron, PHP, WordPress. So all of these things people are trying to visit. And we can actually also see the types of operating systems that people are trying to visit. So we can see Windows users accessed 457 pages, whereas Macs only accessed 21, Android accessed 17, a Linux operating system did 8, and we can see mobile iOS users or iPhone operating system users make up only 3 of the pages visited. We can also break it down by browser types. So as you can see, this is a very, very good tool to break down, how people are using your site, what kind of technology they're using, and what pages they're visiting. And so yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the error section for metrics. So if you scroll on down to metrics, you can click on errors. And this is going to be a really short one because all it is this quick page. And so all it does is it shows you the latest error message. So you can see there was an access error because this client was denied by the server configuration to access the git config, which I believe I tried to access in one of the earlier videos. And so that's probably me.
And same if we go down, we can see there's different items here. We can see that they were forbidden by the options directive. And so, yeah, it's pretty much just the ability to see any errors that had occurred. And it's good to look at these because then you can see if there's different things that are broken. Like it says here, you can see to find broken links or problems with missing files. So you'll see like if there was a file that somebody wanted to get that wasn't there, it would show a 404. And so, yeah, and that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And today we are going to be learning how we can deploy a NodeJS API in cPanel. So the first thing you'll want to do is head over to the Domains section. So here in Domains, you want to click on Domains. And what we're going to do now is create a subdomain. So I'm going to create a subdomain called API. So for me, it would be API dot and then the rest of your domains. So for me, it'd be react.domains.muffinmanhosting.com. And then from here, I will just click on the submit button. And what this will do is it will create a subdomain for me in my cPanel. So we can see that it was created by going to Tools and then selecting the File Manager, scrolling down to Public HTML, and we can see here's api.react.domains.muffinmanhosting.com. And if we go inside of it, we can see there's a CGI bin. So in order, like for me, I can already get to it. api.react.app.domains.muffinmanhosting.com. See, I can already get to it, but for a lot of you guys out there, you might have to create your own DNS records in order to point this to it. So I'm using a free domain through muffinmanhosting.com, and every subdomain automatically gets directed back to this. It gets handled by my DNS server on here. So if I go to my zone editor, this is what handles all of the DNS for me. And if I go and I click manage, I can see there's an A record somewhere. Let me just go up here and filter by A records, and that'll make it faster to find. There it is. So api.react.app.domains.muffinmanhosting.com is now an A record pointing to my server because I created it through cPanel. But if you have your own DNS servers out there, like if you're hosting through, if your DNS is managed through GoDaddy or something, you'll have to go make an A record for your new API domain and point it to the server in order, and make an A record for it in order for it to be translated. So and so for people to get to it over the internet. So if you can't get to it, it's likely you have a DNS misconfiguration. So like to this bin. So after you do that, make sure you can access the subdomain before you go ahead and try to follow the rest of the steps. So now let's go back to Tools. And I'm going to show you guys the code now for my API. It's very, very basic. Here it is. And so all that happens is it's listening on port 3000, and I have a status and an example. So when you host your API, though, on cPanel, it's going to be listening over port 80 or 443. You don't get to choose the port that it runs over. So like now what you have to do is you need to grab specifically, if we go back here, the index.js and the package.json and compress them to a zip file. Now, this is important because we only need these two files. We don't want the node modules and we don't want the package lock.json. We only want the index.js and the package.json files. If you have any other files, you'll also want to compress those into the zip file. So say you're using an MVC architecture where you have, your model, your view and controllers, your views and controllers, you'll need to compress those to the zip file as well. Just leave out the package lock.json and the node modules. Every other file you could ever need and is needed for your API, do put it into the compressed zip file. So now what we will do is head back to our, our page, and here we need to go to our file manager. So tools, click on file manager, and we'll actually go into our API.reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com folder. Here we will need to upload the package or the zip file that we just made. Sorry. Now we'll go back to our files. And I'm going to close out of this one, and I'm going to extract these files. There we go. Oh, let me refresh the page. And now here they are in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And we need to make sure that these are in the directory for your subdomain, right? They shouldn't be anywhere else. And so now if you tried to, you could access the index.js, but we don't want to do that. What we want to do is scroll down and get this thing ready to be a API now. So if you scroll down to software, you're going to click on set up NodeJS app. And if you don't have this, that means that your hosting provider doesn't have this enabled for you. So you might have to ask them to get it enabled or switch to a different hosting provider. So we'll click set up NodeJS app. And from here, we are going to click on this create application. And we're going to change this from development to production, and our application root is going to be the file path. So I'm going to copy this completely right here, and then I'm going to put a slash at the end indicating that it's in this folder, the api.reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com folder. And now the application URL, I'm going to change to my subdomain of api.reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com, and the application startup file is going to be index.js. And so, like, a lot of people might have this as app.js, whatever the startup file is for your application is what you need to do. And then the next thing you're going to do is just simply click on the create button. And this will take a second. Okay, and now my Node.js application has been created. So if we go back over here and I click refresh, we will see that it created a few files for us. So there's a .htaccess file, a temp file now, and a public file. And so this is important because the .htaccess file actually shows or actually tells the Apache web server how to, oops, didn't mean to do that, how to access the different paths in your index.js file. So like, say you have 100 different paths, it wouldn't understand if you just went to those 100 different paths without this .htaccess file. So let's go back here. And so the first thing you need to do is, and if you try to test it, it's not going to work. So you need to go ahead and scroll down and click on this run npm install button. And what that will do is it will go into your package.json file and it will install all of the node modules that you need. And so then after this is done, we'll actually see the node modules file show up here. And then after that, all we have to do is restart our application and then it will be working for us. So we'll give this a second. And it will notify us when we're done, when it's done. Okay, I'm going to pause the video until it's done, and then I'll come back. Awesome, and so now the npm install has completed successfully, as this message shows. So I'm going to click X here, and I'm just going to scroll up, and I'm going to click Stop App, and then I'm going to click Start App again, or Start App, and then go to my file manager, and I'll refresh the page, and you can see there is now a node modules folder. And if I go to api.react.domains.muffinmanhosting.com/status, which was one of the paths in my NodeJS API, and I press enter, you'll see that it returns a JSON object called status, and it shows running. The other, and if we go back to our code, right, you can see here status, and the other one is /example. So I will go to /example, and you'll see that it returns a JSON object with the key of awesome and the value of example. And yeah, it's that easy to get your API up and running. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you ever need to stop your API, you just click the stop button to make edits to it, or you can just simply destroy it by clicking this destroy button. But if you click the destroy, it doesn't delete all of the files in your path. So what you would need to do is, after you click this destroy button and you wanted to reuse the same path, you would have to go back to tools. You'd have to go down to your file manager, back to your public HTML. You'll have to go into your api.reactapp.domains, or into your subdomain path, and delete everything in here in order to completely restart. And so yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video where I will show you how to start a Python API. All right, bye. Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to this video where we're going to be going over what track DNS is in the advanced section. So if we scroll down to advanced and we click on track DNS here, we can see that it'll take us to this page. So basically all this does is it allows you to look up a domain name and it will map it back to an IP address using this tool, and also the trace route, which will trace your route from your computer to your server. So it'll show like the number of servers and what servers your data must pass through to get to your site. So if you just click trace, it'll just do it for you, and then you'll be able to see the details. It can take a couple of seconds. There you go. And so this will give you the information. Next, we'll go to the domain to look up, and so this is really useful if after you set up your website to ensure that the DNS is correct. So for me, I'm just going to type in my API that I made, api.react-app.domains.muffinmanhosting.com, and I'm going to click look up. Sorry about that. I'm going to click look up, and it's going to show me that this is the IP address, which is the correct IP address for what I wanted it to be. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Use this tool to look up the IP addresses of your new services to make sure that the IPs are pointing to the server, and you can use this trace route to make sure to see if any, what the route is that your laptop is taking to get to your site or on the cPanel server. So yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about indexes. So if we scroll down to advanced and we select the indexes section, what you can do with this is create a way for your specific folder paths in your file manager to be visible or not visible. So what I mean by that is, let's go to my domain of reactapp.domains.muffinmanhosting.com, and we'll go to images. Sorry, we can see that we have full directory and all of the images available, right? So if somebody goes to this, then they can see everything available in this directory. Well, if we go back to indexes and we scroll down and we click on public HTML and we select images, right, we can see this is the only folder in this path. We can click edit and we can click on no indexing. And then if I click save, right, now when I go ahead and I refresh this page, it's going to give me a forbidden sign. So what is happening? So it's saying that you can't traverse the directory, like you can't look at it. But if we were to put in a direct file path, like c1.png, we would still be able to see the image, right? So let's go back. And now let's say I want to be able to see only the file name. So now we can select show only the file name, and we'll click save. And now if we refresh the page, we can only see the file names and no descriptions. But if we were to go back and we select show file name and description and click save, right, then we would go back to what we saw before, where we saw the size of the file, the data was created, etc. So now we can also make it inherit its parent. So say you have every single file, right, under public HTML, it will inherit public HTML's value. So if we go up one level and we were to edit public HTML and we were to say no indexing at all, then what would happen is any path under it would not be able to be seen if you were to go directly to the directory, unless it has a dot or an index.something file. And you can check out those index.something files that are available by clicking on show index files here, and you can see like here's index.php, etc., and here's index.htm, and then there's defaults, right? So all of these can be your index files. And I think we've gone over index files before, but just for a quick refresher, if we go back to our public HTML, our index.html will be the file that gets shown to a user when they go directly to our domain. So if somebody went to this path of just our domain and pressed enter, then they would get served our index.html file. If I were to put this in a different path, like into our one of our APIs, then that index.html would be served if somebody went to this path, right? So as long as, here's a good example, is if I just move this directly into the images folder, right, and I refresh this page, we'll get a forbidden because we have it enabled for the public HTML that it doesn't have like directory viewing. So if you go back here and we were to scroll down to our advanced, click on indexes, public HTML is inheriting it from the parent folder, and that means it can't be viewed unless it has an index.html or an index file in it. So now if we were to go to /images, we would get our HTML file, but there's no CSS in here anymore, so that's why it looks like this. Awesome. So I hope this helped, and now you guys understand what this indexes section is under advanced. And I recommend using it just so that people can't go ahead and download all the resources from your directories. So if you have a lot of images, etc., you don't want people to download them. You want them to have to struggle if they really want to download them. Then I would recommend enabling it. It also makes it easier, more secure in case you have files that maybe are important to your company or website that you may have accidentally put in there. People can just go ahead and go to your different paths, and then they can view all of the files in there. So I recommend enabling this so that nobody can just go in and view them from the internet. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Hey, how's it going, guys? And in this video, we're going to be talking about the different types of errors that can happen in cPanel and how you can handle them with error pages. So if you go ahead and scroll down to advanced, you can click on error pages here. And you'll see the different types of really common errors, which is bad request, authorization required, forbidden, not found, and internal server error. So let's go ahead and edit this not found page. So if we go to my domain, reactapp.domains.muffmanhosting.com, and we give it a path that doesn't exist, like LOL, right? We can say, it'll say this page can't be found, and we can refresh it, but nothing's going to happen. And so this is obviously in Microsoft Edge. So if we go back to error pages and we click on the not found, we can actually add different types of things into it. So we can click on the referring URL, the requested URL, the reader. Let's give it different lines too. We can click on this. The visitor's browser, so like the type of user agent they're using, and we can do like the server name. There we go. And so if we go ahead and now we refresh this page, we have to scroll down and click on save. And then we can go back. Let's click on the refresh button, and you'll actually see that we get a long string of things. So we have, if we go back, we can see that the refer URL is none, so no URL referred us here. The request URI was /LOL. The user agent for the user is this here. And the server name is reactapp.domains.muffmanhosting.com. Whoops. And so yeah, error pages are that simple, and so you can actually edit it so that it says whatever you want it to, and so yeah. But these are pretty common things you can add into it. And so yeah, now if you go back, you can do this for all the different types of errors that occur, and you can choose the domain for the errors. that occur. So like say if we have an API error that happens and we have like a forbidden, we can edit this and make it say whatever we want. And we can also show all the HTTP stat error codes that could occur. And so here are all of them. A lot of these won't be in use. I would just stick with the common different error codes, such as forbidden if somebody doesn't have access, same with authorization is required, and the not found. Internal server error is also a very good one, as that can happen pretty often. All right, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.